Good evening, everybody, and welcome to NEAAAT's transportation meeting. My name is Lisa Alcott. I'm the assistant principal. Also with us this evening is Principal TJ Worrell. We're going to be discussing bus transportation at the beginning, and then we're going to start talking about car drop-off and pickup. This meeting is being recorded in case anyone has to leave early or they need to watch the meeting again. We ask that you all remain muted. And if you have any questions, please put them in the chat box. We will monitor that. And we'll have a question and answer period at the end as well. So to kick things off, Principal Worrell.
Thank you, Coach Alcott. Are you going to share the presentation out?
Yes.
Drive that for us, that'd be great. So we want to spend a little bit of time tonight talking about our transportation system. As you know, we do have 7 buses now, I believe, that are make our regional stops. We currently serve 8 counties within the region. We do not make door-to-door stops. We make regional stops across the area based on where the greatest area of needs are to try to meet as many needs of our families as possible. As we kind of keep that in mind as we go through tonight's meeting. So Coach Alcott, if you advance that slide. So we do require all parents to register for bus transportation. We will, by the end of the day, Friday, we will be emailing out to all students, current students and new students and their parents a bus registration form. If you do not register for the bus, we can't guarantee you have a seat on the bus. We do feel like we have sufficient capacity to meet the needs of our students that will be attending, but we do want to make sure that we get our bus rosters set and ready to go prior to the beginning of the school year. You will receive an email confirming that your child has a seat on the bus probably sometime before the first week of August. We do ask that the registration forms be completed by July 30th. So if you have multiple children, multiple siblings, please fill out the form, one form for each child. That will help us make sure that we don't leave anybody off. Okay, so a couple safety things that we just need to be aware of, and these safety procedures are kind of just how we normally do business on the bus, but they also are under current health restrictions as well. So these may change over the next few weeks and prior to the beginning of the school year. And if they do change as it relates to health standards for COVID, we will communicate that out to parents. So we do ask that parents wait with their children at the bus stops until they've gotten on the bus. That's just a safety precaution. Many of our stops are businesses, and for example, if it's at the Zoom In, there are folks who are not NEAAAT related coming in and out of those places. So, and we don't have the capacity to be able to supervise those with NEAAAT personnel other than when the bus driver is on the location. We aren't requiring any kind of temperature check or attestation as we did at the beginning of this previous school year. However, we do ask that your child provide a thumbs up, just indicating they don't have any COVID symptoms. If your child is sick, we do ask you to please keep them home for that day. That thumbs up is the same procedure we're currently using at our car drop-off and pickup or drop-off during the day. So it's just kind of consistent with everybody. All students are currently required to wear a mask that covers their cloth face covering that covers their mouth and nose to ride the bus. The current governor's executive order still does not, even though the mask mandate has been lifted in most locations in school facilities, that has not changed as of at this time. If it does change, we'll let you know. But until that changes, we're just kind of go ahead and put that out there that all students on the bus will be required to wear a cloth face covering that covers their nose and mouth. We do sanitize our buses regularly in between routes. So as your student, before your student gets on the bus, it's been sanitized, and then when they get off, we sanitize it again. We will continue that practice throughout the school year. You'll find that our buses are are high quality and very, very clean. Anyway, many of them are less than 5 years old. We have purchased 4 new buses over the last 2 school years. So they're in good mechanical order, plus we keep them very clean. And we do finally ask the buses be loaded from the front to the back. Our drivers will create seating charts in which your student will be required to sit in an assigned seat. This is normal transportation procedures for all public schools. It is required if for some reason there was an accident or something, we do have to provide a seating chart, an accurate seating chart to law enforcement. So that's not a COVID procedure. That's just kind of how buses run. So Coach Alcott, next slide. Other safety procedures that we're doing, students who we do ask that they get off on the appropriate stop that they've been assigned to. Our bus drivers do a really good job of monitoring this. This is a safety concern, and they need to make sure they remain in their seat for the entire route. If you, the bus drivers will wait until a parent is present. We don't just drop students off at a stop. There will be a place on the form for you to indicate that your child can be stopped. For example, at the YMCA in Elizabeth City, some of our students go to after school care at that location. So the parent indicates that they give us written permission to let them not be picked up by a parent. Otherwise, they will. We do ask that parents be at the location at the designated time to pick up their students. If you're not able to be there, our bus drivers will try to make phone contact. If they're not able to make phone contact, they will transport them back to school to be picked up. Coach Alcott. So a couple unique features of our bus that provide safety and security for our students and a little bit of convenience. They are all modern school buses. They have air conditioning. So there's no worries about comfort on the bus. They also are all equipped with a system called Zonar. This is a GPS tracking system, so that if for some reason we need to locate that bus and let the parent know exactly where it is, then we can do that. It also allows us to monitor speed and stops and movements of the bus. It's just an added feature to help monitor the quality of our bus transportation system. Some of our buses are equipped with video cameras. We continuously update our buses so that we can monitor students better in the unfortunate case if an incident does occur inside the bus. And then some of our buses, especially on the longer routes to Chilliwack County, in particular, are equipped with mobile Wi-Fi. This is a continued service that we started this past year using some federal education relief funds. So we anticipate being able to continue that service so that students can use their Chromebook to do schoolwork. Those Chromebooks will continue to be monitored and filtered just as they would be at school. So they wouldn't be able to get on inappropriate sites as long as they're going through using their Chromebook, school issued Chromebook. Okay, so just a couple of reminders. Please don't forget to fill out the registration form. It is required to guarantee that spot on the bus. That will be sent out through email by the end of the day, Thursday. And we will also share this recording along with other information about our bus transportation system so that you have all the information necessary. Obviously, if you do have questions and aren't comfortable filling out the form, you can contact us and we will walk you through that process. We do ask that they be submitted by July 30 so that we can prepare the bus rosters and get those communicated out by email prior to the first day of school. We anticipate getting those communicated out prior to our scheduled open house event. I believe we have a middle grades or a grades 5 through 8 open house scheduled for August 5th, and the high school would be the following Tuesday. I believe it's the 8th. Coach Alcott, you may be able to confirm those dates, but
Right.
they will be communicated out very shortly as well. Okay, now we'll take a look at kind of the map of the region and all the students. So this is a heat map that indicates where every student lives. Well, almost every. There's a couple of students that are to the far west that are not indicated on this map just because I couldn't get it to fit the screen. But each location here, each mark indicates where students live that are enrolled or will be enrolled in our school. So as you can see, it's a very wide area across northeastern North Carolina. So we try to make sure that when we plan our stops, that we take all these areas into account so that we can provide the best service to as many families as we can. Obviously, we're not going to go to Manio to pick up that one student on a special route. That just wouldn't be feasible. So we try to make sure that we get as close to as many students as we can and as many families so that we can help. So a couple things is to determine a bus stop, we currently have multiple stops as far west as the Roses and Northern Chowan Rec Center that we've used since the school's existence. That's as far west. And we go as far east as the Providence Baptist Church in Shawboro. And along we've added the Currituck YMCA is about as far east as we're able to go currently. We go as far north as the up the Morgan's Corner to that Shell station. We've gotten permission to use that location. And then we'll continue to use the Weeksville Fire Department. That kind of gives us a cross section of our communities and be able to serve. So a couple of guidelines that we use to determine if we can use a spot. One, it needs to be safe for our buses to be able to go in and out. So we generally look for paved parking lots, businesses that give us permission to use those. We try to avoid private residential properties, and we have to have easy access to the roadway. Our buses are not allowed. They're not allowed to stop at individual houses or on a road, a residential road, or just a regular street. We don't have stop arms, and that's a requirement to be able to make those sort of stops. So we also want to try to make sure that we have locations that can assist our students during adverse weather. So if it's raining, we want to make sure there's some sort of covering that they can stay under as they wait for the bus or wait for the ride to be picked up. And obviously we want to make sure that they're safe and in a good location. So if you look at this map or you look at our current stops and you feel like you'd like to make a suggestion, feel free to reach out to the school. You can reach me through email or by phone, or Coach Alcott by phone or email. We'll be glad to discuss potential other stops. But these are the stops that we've currently used with the addition of the Currituck YMCA that we anticipate being able to use for the upcoming school year. So let's take a look at those stops. If you'll go to the next slide, Coach Alcott. Please take note, this is a lot of information on this one slide, but this may change depending on ridership. So we anticipate these are kind of tentative times based on what worked this previous year and what has worked historically for us. But please understand it may change from time to time. Once we get to know exactly who wants to ride. So we do have stops at the YMCA in the Elizabeth City, the Zoom In and Northern Pastor Tank. That's up there by Northside Road in Elizabeth City. And then we go one spot further up that particular road in Northern Pastor Tank to the duck through at Morgan's Corner to kind of serve those northern families. When we talk about going east, we do stop at the Camden Library, the Shawboro Baptist Church there in town, and the Currituck YMCA is a new stop for us. We used it during Summer Bridge, and it seemed to work out fairly well. So we'll continue to partner with them. And then when we start moving west, we do stop at the church on the Kisco Road, the Evangelical Methodist Church Road, and then we also stop at the Quinlan Senior Center, and then we will continue on to Eatonton, where we will stop at Chowan, and then also the Northern Rec Center. We anticipate needing probably to send 3 buses west, just because of the amount. Most of those students who live out that way do ride the bus, whereas most of the car riders will come from in town. When we look at in-town stops, we do stop at the waterfront twice. We do anticipate being able to do kind of an early and then a later pick up and drop off at the waterfront, just to kind of meet the different needs, whether, if a family is having to drive through and go to work at the Coast Guard base or something like that. It depending on time, we try to meet those needs. And that kind of takes us through our stops. I don't know if I may have not have mentioned the Weeksville Volunteer Fire Department. We do anticipate being able to use that location for our regular school year. Okay, so we'll move on to the next slide, Coach Alcott. So just a couple of things as a reminder how you can help make our transportation system successful. First is try to make arrangements so that your student can be at the bus stop a little bit early. We do ask, especially during the first few weeks of school, that time may fluctuate depending on traffic and the number of students getting on and off. And so please be patient with us as we kind of fine tune that process at the beginning, but we do ask that you make sure that you're early to the stop just so that we don't make a mistake and not provide that service for you. We ask that you monitor your children while you're on these regional stops. Many of these locations are convenience stores or places of business or places of worship. And it's important that we respectful to that area, just as we expect our students to be respectful of our property on school grounds. We expect them to be respectful of property of these businesses that are allowing us to use their property for this service. Be aware that the bus will pick up and drop off students at the same stop every day. School is in session. If for some reason we have a remote learning day, the transportation does not run on those days. If we have adverse weather, we don't run our transportation system. Okay. And also we will be sharing kind of a early release bus schedule as well. In the case of adverse weather, we may have to release go early. So we try to release those times about so that families can be prepared for those weather incidences. And we try to notify parents as quickly as possible if there's major changes to our transportation system. All right, Coach Alcott.
Coach Roll, I can't see the chat, so I'm not sure
Okay.
if anybody asked you a question about the buses yet before I move on to cars. Can you tell?
Somebody asked a question about the Roses pickup is much earlier this year. We have not, like I said earlier, we haven't finalized that time. I'll be glad to look at it, but we've tried to designate, that time. It may be an error on my part. As many of you know, Coach Britton was transportation director last year, and Coach Alcott and I have kind of working together on this. So I'll look at it and see what adjustments need to be made. But when we send out the transportation form, I do anticipate those times being as close to kind of what we anticipate as possible. We do anticipate running 2 buses to the Chowan Eatonton area at the minimum. Other questions? Any other questions before we turn it over to cars? All right, Coach Alcott.
So moving on, we understand that no one really enjoys the car pickup line, but we do try to make things as convenient for you as possible. Our number one priority, however, is student safety, and that is what we're going to focus on this year. So we have a new policy. First of all, drop-off procedures are not going to change at all. We don't have to do temperature checks. Your students have to give the thumbs up to indicate that they have no COVID symptoms. If you look at the traffic pattern, it's the same for those of you that are familiar with NEAAAT. For those of you that are not, if this is your first year with us, notice that the cars come in along this road by the grassy area. You come in this way, and then you turn down the lane, not the one directly by the bus one, but the one before that, and then you pull around and you drop your stuff off. There's not always a line, but usually there are periods of time where the traffic does get a little backed up, and that changes from morning to morning depending on when that back up. But it doesn't last long. Drop off is usually a fairly quick procedure. Now, pickup is a different matter. You're still going to follow the same traffic pattern. You're going to come in and along this road, along the grassy area, and then all the cars will stop. And we may change that to having everyone stop back here and having a person here. So as we said, safety of the students is our #1 priority. So we have a new safety feature this year. We have contracted with a service called School Pass. And what that means for car drop-off procedures is that each parent, each car will have a card, and it will have the student's ID and a barcode on it. We're going to scan them instead of putting them in their phones like before, and a message goes directly to the coaches' classrooms, and they get a pop-up on their screen to indicate that that student can be released to be picked up. So that will be a little bit easier. That pickup will occur at 3:15. We're going to hold, we've got 3:10 up here. It'll be around 3:10 to 3:15. We're going to stick to that this year. Classes do not end until 3:15, so we may move that back to 3:15 to maximize instruction time. If you get there early, we have some drivers that get there an hour early, and that's up to you, but then that's a long wait. And if we stop traffic back here so that we can check all of the cars, that's going to be an even longer wait. So what will happen this year, if you do not have the card with the barcode, you're going to have to pull into a parking area, and we're going to have to verify. So like we said, safety is our #1 issue, and we want to make sure that we are not allowing the students to get in a car and go home with somebody that's not authorized to take them home. So that means that parents will have to let us know who's available, who is okay, who is on the list to take their student home. And you'll be able to do that now with the School Pass feature. You'll be able to go online and make those adjustments, but it will be important that whoever is picking your child up has the card, and you can request as many copies as you need. We can print those out for you so that if you have 3 or 4 different people who are assigned to pick up your child, you can have 3 or 4 cards for them to keep with them. Let me see, I'm blocking my view here. So that is going to be our new pickup procedures in the afternoon. Hopefully it will be quicker because all we have to do is scan the barcode, and the coaches will get the message for them to come out. So hopefully that will be faster for the pickup. So as I stated, each student will get a card. Every student, even if they're riding a bus, will get a car pickup, just in case for whatever reason the student is not riding a bus that day and they're going to be in the car pickup line. They should still have a card, whoever's picking them up. You can request additional cards at no cost to you, and those cards will need to be displayed because we're going to have to scan them with the barcode. If you do not have the card, you'll pull over, and we're going to have to check identification and make sure that that person is on the list and okay to pick up your child. And you're going to receive a letter from the School Pass company, and you'll receive more information from us with details about that process. Thank you for listening. Anybody have any questions? See if I can find the chat now.
Just one thing to add, Coach Alcott, for the families, that School Pass, you'll be able to manipulate that through an app on your phone. We're just getting that implemented at school now. So we had a meeting today. We anticipate that being able to do that. If you have, there's a question up here. If you have multiple students, they will link together. You won't have to have multiple cards or barcodes for that. They will sync together. That is my understanding of how the notifications will work. So, and then the drop-off times, I'll share that in. Somebody missed that section as we were kind of going over it. We're still kind of have some tentative times that will be shared out when I send out the registration email. So that email and communication will go out again. And then if you want to watch the recording, when we send it back out by the end of the day, Thursday, you'll be able to see that then for more specific bus drop-off and pickup times.
And if you're asking about car drop-off and pickup times, Students can be dropped off this year at 7:30. We had it at 7 o'clock for cars before because of all of the COVID measures and the temperatures that we had to adjust, but now it will be 7:30 in the morning for car drop-off time.
And we do ask them to be picked up prior to 3:45. If there's if you need to request special accommodations for that, just please feel free to reach out to Coach Alcott or myself, and we'll see what we can do.
Yes.
Drop off is going, our car drop off is going to be at 7:30. We just so I just saw this. So yeah, so car drop off will start at 7:30 in the mornings. That's different due to we don't anticipate that all the COVID restrictions we had to fight through this past year. Other questions?
Okay, well, thank you for joining us this evening. And please remember that the email addresses are on the screen. If you have any questions at all, please send us an email. That's probably the best way to get an answer. If you do call the school and you can't reach us, you can leave a message and we will call you back. And we're happy to work with you. If you have any suggestions for improvement, we are always open to parent contributions to the way that we do things. We want to make sure that we do things as smoothly and as convenient for the parents as possible. So we're always open to hearing what you have to say. And if there are no other questions or concerns, thank you for joining us.
Yep, thank you. And make sure you get that bus registration done by July 30. Can't wait to see everybody in August.